Now, here's my main story I want you to understand for this Sunday weekend roundup here at Open Source News. It's how President Trump, in this phase one deal that he has hit with China, is a result of him taking out globalists and internationalists and their power over American trade. This is a story I'm going to show you right now of Trump brilliance, Trump chess playing the long game. What we're seeing here, this huge win we're seeing over China this week, is something that President Trump has started from way back when he came into office, doing something totally under the radar that wasn't being reported, that we were not looking at, that would force China to this position. This is one of the many brilliant moves of a stable genius.
President Trump and his trade team announcing progress in Chinese trade negotiations with an agreement on a phase one deal. The administration providing a little more detail about that deal this afternoon.
President Trump was not messing around with his America First agenda, and he has been taking China to task. China's growth by ripping off America, those days are over. Those days are over. Let's look at what the trade agreement looks like with China currently, and then I'm going to show you one of the biggest news stories that went totally underreported, and that is why China is once again at the negotiating table. Because President Trump this last week, in a brilliant chess move, which I will break down for you, decimated the power of the internationalists and the globalists to tell America how to conduct their trade negotiations and bind us to unnecessary and ridiculous rules that favored China and other countries over our own interests. President Trump is an anti-globalist, and he's doing things that they're not being reported to the general press, which are key for us and prove that he was not lying and he's the real deal, and he truly is America First. But let's look at this trade deal with China and how it looks currently.
The president officially announced Friday morning that he would support the deal in principle that was reached Thursday between the U.S. and China.
The president tweeting, quote, "We have agreed to a very large phase one deal with China. They've agreed to many structural changes and massive purchases of agricultural product, energy, and manufactured goods, plus much more." The president saying that the 25% tariffs will remain as is, with 7.5% put on much of the remainder. Now, the penalty tariffs set for December 15th will not be charged because of the fact that we made the deal.
The news here is much bigger than what the market understands right now. The reality is that this is a deal crafted by Robert Lighthizer, the president's trade representative, that hits just about every element that he sought in the course of this negotiation over all of this time. And with that, let me say what it is. We're talking about the president deferring planned tariffs that would have gone into effect come Monday on Chinese goods. That's been suspended. He is maintaining, and this is what is going to stun a lot of people, $250 billion of Chinese imports into this country. The tariff on those imports remains exactly what it is until further notice.
In a call on Friday with reporters, White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow said that, quote, "Suffice to say, this is a very important step in solving trade relations and imbalances with China." Another senior administration official on the call said that the deal goes into effect almost immediately. However, it will be officially signed in a few weeks at the ministerial level, with U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer signing the deal for the United States and Vice Premier Liu He for China. The deal comprises multiple chapters addressing a wide range of issues, from intellectual property rights, forced technology transfers, financial services, and currency reform, along with transparency. And as the president noted on Twitter, the deal postpones tariffs that were set to go in effect on Sunday, but leaves on some tariffs that the U.S. had already imposed. A senior administration official saying that the tariffs are remaining in place as there are a lot of other issues that must be addressed in a phase two deal.
But that's the news. Hardline Trump.
It is hardline Trump, but it is also the smart president we put into office.
Yes, a very smart move, a brilliant move. That is why he calls himself, and I agree, that he is the stable genius.
The smart president we put into office.
While everyone slept, I'm going to show you what President Trump has done, which forced China into this position. It's a brilliant move, and I'll break it down for you. But the beautiful part about this is not just a Band-Aid. This is not just a short-term solution like most politicians give us because they're looking for the next re-election, to stay in power, or just to appease a group. What President Trump has done here structurally is put in place something that is going to last and benefit America for a very long time.
He is constructing a deal for the future, and it is one in which, as he has announced now today, is going to be negotiated from now forward. This is not only a trade deal, which is important, intellectual property protection for this country, structural change in China, access to Chinese markets, critically important, trillions of dollars in the potential. And at the same time, creating a relationship, because that negotiation is the foundation of what will be an emerging power and this dominant superpower for decades to come.
So what the stable genius has been doing over time to cripple China and strengthen our position as America in this trade conflict, this trade war, if you will, these trade disagreements with China, is he's crippled the World Trade Organization, which is the intergovernmental body that oversees trade agreements between the member countries. Now, to truly appreciate what he did just this week in crippling this globalist, internationalist body, let me show you what the World Trade Organization is, because most people are not really familiar with their work. And then I'm going to show you what President Trump has said and what he did this week, which was a total checkmate move on the globalists.
As talk of a trade war between the U.S. and China ripples around the globe, the World Trade Organization finds itself in the middle of the dispute. China said the unilateral action by the U.S. violated WTO international trade law. The WTO was established in 1995 with the goal of ensuring the rules of international trade are upheld. One of the key pillars of the WTO is settling trade disputes, where member countries can file complaints if they think their rights are being violated, instead of taking unilateral action against a country.
So the World Trade Organization was created during the first term of the Clinton presidency, and it gives this sanctioning body power over the trade negotiations. It sets up the framework by which everyone is supposed to abide by. But once again, what this does is take away America's power to unilaterally, without a sanctioning body overlooking them, negotiate trade deals that benefit America without some globalist international group looking it over. And when it comes to these trade disputes, we were not winning. Things were not in our favor, as is generally not the case, right? Everything that has to do with globalism is rip off America. America is a big piggy bank that we can all smash into, and they never really cared about America, our issues, and what benefits us. But of course, all of that has been changed under President Trump, who truly is an America First president.
The political class in Washington gutted your factories with horrendous trade deals, horrible. NAFTA, one of the worst trade deals ever. By the way, World Trade Organization, it made China. China made themselves. They did a good job. But they ripped off our country for years. And with our money and World Trade Organization backing, and then they took advantage of the rules of the World Trade Organization. And I'm being nice when I say took advantage, much more than took advantage. They went up like a rocket ship. They were flatlined for 100 years. And then one day,
World Trade Organization, a terrible move. And you know, we were losing all our cases until I came along. We were losing all our cases in the World Trade Organization. Almost every case we're lost. They thought we were stupid. They were the ones ruling. And then I came along. Now we're winning a lot of cases because they know that they're not on very solid ground. We will leave if we have to. And all of a sudden, we're winning a lot of cases. We're winning most of our cases, and it's only because of attitude, because we know that they have been screwing us for years, and it's not going to happen any longer. They get it. They get it. So they're giving us victories. They're giving us victories. And I'd like to use a different word, but there's no word that's quite as, right? There's no word that's quite as descriptive.
So while we were all focused on impeachment, this is what happened this week in Trump versus the World Trade Organization. Axios does this really interesting article on this, and they even call out that this was a globalist scheme to begin with. So going through this briefly, internationalists have always dreamed of a court with jurisdiction over all the countries of the world. Internationalists, globalists, arose by any other name, right? Having power over all countries and not letting countries have their own sovereignty, including in trade, where they should be able to have unilateral agreements and settle those disputes among themselves, not through a governing, sanctioning body or even a dispute, another body that's outside of these two countries. In 1995, the World Trade Organization was created, allowing the world's countries to press claims against one another for the first time. Before that, if you had disagreement, you worked it out with the other country. You didn't have globalist or international bodies looking it over. So here's the state of play. That just lasted 25 years. As of Tuesday, the Trump administration has, to all intents and purposes, brought it to an end. Bravo. This is why we voted for President Trump, to end globalist rule over American interests.
The smart president we put into office.
And this is what President Trump did. He blocked all new appointments to the World Trade Organization's Dispute Resolution Court. So you saw, I just played that clip for you, how they were favoring China. Things were not in our favor in these dispute resolution courts.
World Trade Organization, a terrible move. And you know, we were losing all our cases until I came along. We were losing all our cases in the World Trade Organization. Almost every case we lost. They thought we were stupid.
So what President Trump did is he allowed it to go from 7 members to 3. Okay, and then they were supposed to. They have terms, and we were supposed to, put in more, or vote as the U.S. and our voice in the World Trade Organization to refill that court, if you will, that dispute resolution court. Well, that's not going to happen because now there's not enough of those judges to issue any kind of binding ruling. Why is that? Because it went from 7 members to 3, and then there was 2 more, but the terms expired today, and we have left them how they are, not making any appointments, or Trump and his administration not making any appointments. So now they're down to 1 judge, and guess what? 1 judge has no power to issue a ruling binding. Folks, this is a kind of 3D, 4D chess that's unheard of in government, definitely at the presidential level. President Trump was playing the long game here. He didn't just do this now. He's been talking about this. The clip I played for you a few moments ago is from a couple months ago when we was talking about the World Trade Organization. But you can go back and look at a year or 2 years. He's talking about it. While he's talking about it, and the country is focused on impeachment, and the Democrats are trying to play chess against him, checkers against him, he's playing chess. He let these appointments expire, down from 7 members to 3 to 2 who expire down to 1, totally taking away the power of the resolution body in the World Trade Organization to do anything. And what does that mean? No one can now oversee the trade disagreements with China. It has to be handled unilaterally, which means we and China do that among ourselves. And we are freed from globalist interests that were favoring China, favoring other countries over the United States. This is brilliant.
The smart president we put into office.
Thanks for joining us on the Black Conservative Patriot channel. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on the notifications bell so you don't miss a thing.